Hi there, in this lesson 4-1 we will be working with graphing equations in slope-intercept form. As you can see here, we have some vocabulary. This is a formula you will need to remember. Slope-intercept form is written as y equals mx plus b. And in this form, we have some information. We have the values for m and b, and it's important to remember what these are. So m is your slope, and b is the y-intercept. This is true for every linear equation. There will be some form of a y equals mx plus b situation, m referring to the slope, b referring to the y-intercept if it has one. In constant, we will use the word constant functions, and they are a graph of a function with a horizontal slope. So they will be written as y equals a number. So y equals -3 is a constant function. Y equals +2 is a constant function. Y equals 1/4 is a constant function. So the domain means that these x values exist everywhere, and the range will be known as the b value. Notice how these do not have a slope. That is because their slope is 0. We will talk more about those in the next section. Okay, so here we are going to practice writing an equation in slope-intercept form for a line where we've been given the slope and where we are given the y-intercept. We're going to take y equals mx plus b, and we are going to put our slope, which is m, and substitute it in. Y equals 3/4 x plus b. b is the y-intercept, and that's -2. So we want to either do one of two things. We can put them in parentheses like this, y equals 3/4 x plus in parentheses -2. To simplify, we would write -2. They are equivalent and mean the same thing. Graphing equations is something that we can do once we have figured out what it is in slope-intercept form. Sometimes we've been given the information, sometimes we haven't. So to graph the equation on the coordinate plane, the first thing we do is graph the y-intercept. It is always graph the y-intercept. And from there, the y-intercept graph at least 2 points using the slope. I like to think about them as one above, or one to the right, and one to the left of the y-intercept. Here's what that would look like. So we are going to graph the equation y equals 2x minus 4. So this equation, we are going to identify our y-intercept. In this case, our y-intercept, you'll see in just a second, is going to get highlighted as -4. Okay, -4. So I'm going to put a point at -4 on my graph. And that is on the y-axis, so the one that goes straight up and down. From there, I'm going to graph 1 point, and here's what I mean by above or below. So I'm going to go from -4, and I'm going to go up 2 to the right 1 and put a point. To graph the other point, the one below the y-intercept, I'm going to go down 2 to the left 1, and that's going to be able to give me a dot right here. And this is where you would take your ruler, and I'll demonstrate this on a piece of paper, and you would connect your points using a straight line that looked like this. And that's how we graph equations on the coordinate plane. Sometimes we have to graph equations that are not written in slope-intercept form. So if you look down in the bottom of your page, we have 3x plus 2y equals 6. So to do this question, step one is to solve for y. So if you remember back at the beginning of this unit, we talked about literal equations. And so this is the skill being applied here. So we are going to take 3x plus 2y equals 6. And we are going to go ahead and solve for y. So to solve for y, the first thing I'm going to do is get 3 to the other side. 3x needs to go to the right side of the equation. I'm going to do that by subtracting 3x from both sides. That leaves me with 2y equals negative 3x plus 6. Then I need to divide everything by 2 to get y by itself. This leaves me with y equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. So from here, I am able to graph my line with my y-intercept and my slope. So on your homework, you will be asked to do this together on a graph, and just in notes, you don't need to do that. The last piece on this page is talking about horizontal and vertical lines. So if you go back, and I talked a little bit about constant functions, this is where this comes into play. Horizontal lines are written as y equals a number. Oops, forgot my pen here. Y equals a number. And they have a slope of 0 for all of these, okay? Because they go flat, so they do not rise. They do not go up and down at all. Vertical lines, however, are written as x equals any number. And they have a slope of being undefined. So you will not know the slope here because this vertical line is going to go straight up and down. And the number is going to be where it crosses the x-axis. So as you're looking at these vertical lines go straight up and down, if you have an equation that x equals 3, this is a vertical line at 3 on the x-axis. So now that we know what we know about slope-intercept form and how to graph lines, we can work backwards. Many times you'll be given a linear function, such as the one on your paper on the next page. We are on page 18 right now, and we can write an equation in slope-intercept form from this given graph. So the key point here is to make sure that you are marking your ordered pairs on the line. This is going to help you determine the slope. One of the things I recommend that you mark on your line is your y-intercept. That is your starting point. So you want to mark at least 2 points here on our line, and we want to make sure that these 2 points are going through a whole ordered pair. So in black, that's how I would mark those. In just a moment, you're going to see in red where one that looks kind of close but isn't actually on a whole ordered pair, and that would be right about here where that red dot is. It looks like it would be at 2, 3, but it's not. It's actually in between that. So I do not recommend, you cannot write a nice and neat equation that way. It is important to know that you are crossing between the lines of a whole ordered pair like the black ones. So once we mark our 2 points, we want to find the slope and the y-intercept. So we find the y-intercept and we find the slope. So my y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be something plus 4. And I'm going to count my slope. So my slope is going to be negative because I know because my line is going down. So you're going to see here, I'm just erasing that little mark. My line is going down, so I'm going to have a negative slope that goes down 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my equation would be y equals negative 3/5 x plus 4. Right after this, you're going to get the opportunity to try the on your own problems. You will be working on the graphs, trying to graph an equation in slope-intercept form, writing an equation in slope-intercept form, and eventually taking a graph and being able to write that equation for it. So what you're going to do is try those out. The next slide has video of me doing it in my booklet, so you can see what it looks like on a booklet. And then final answers. So if you want to skip over that one, you can, because the final answers are on the next page. Okay, so I am going to complete the on your own graph of writing the equation of a line with a slope of -5 and a y-intercept of 3. You can see that I am going to put a point at 3, and I will take and draw 2 more points with my slope. I'm going to go down 5, 1 from my y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go to the right one and put a point. I then do that again by going up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the left 1, putting a point there. So the final step is to take my ruler and connect the dots to a nice straight line. Okay, on your own here, graphing the equation, write it in slope-intercept form first. So you'll see that we're going to take this -3x plus 7 equals 21. We're going to put it in slope-intercept form first. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. I get 7y equals 3x plus 21. Notice how I kept my 3 positive and my 21 positive. I'm going to divide both sides by 7, and I'm going to divide everything by 7. This is going to give me y equals 3/7 x plus 21 divided by 7, which is 3. Graphing this down below on the graph, I'm going to find my y-intercept of 3, and if I can, I'm going to graph 3 up, 7 to the right. 3 and 7 right there. And I should be able to get one on the other side as well by going down 3 to the left 7. I'm going to take my ruler and I am going to connect my points. Oops, my ruler was a little bit off, so I'm actually going to fix that. Make sure your points are lined up nicely here. And connect my points. I want to make sure I show my little arrows moving forward, just like that, because my line goes on forever. The last on your own question, find the slope-intercept form of the equation graph below. So I know I need 2 pieces. I need this value and this value. There's going to be an x here. It's either going to be plus or minus something. So I start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is -4, so -4. You could also write plus -4, but -4 works as well. You can then go ahead and find the slope. So from here, it's really hard to tell, but on this, it crosses at 8, -2. So I'm going up 2 because of my scale, and I'm going to the right 8. So my slope is 2/8, or in this case, 1/4. And like I said, it's hard to kind of tell, so if you have questions about that, you can always ask.